Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Gran Turismo 7 Daily Race and Strategy Guide. We're off to Circuit de Catalunya, the no chicane variant, and we are in the Group 4 machinery. Now, before we get into this one, I will just say very quickly, first strategy guide of 2024. Happy New Year to all of you, hope you've had a great time, hope you have a good year ahead of you. Now, I was working last night, so I got in about 7 o'clock this morning and I've very quickly put this video together. So forgive me if it's not up to the usual quality, but it is just a very quick overview of the race. It's a combination we've done before. It's very similar to the setup from Interlagos not so long ago. We do have 11 laps get round, tiebreak at times 4, fuel at times 1, racing medium tyres, a mandatory pit stop, and the usual when it comes to the BOP damage, the rolling start and slip. Settings allowed are brake balance and suspension. So straight into the race action on this one. We're in the Aston Martin and we are starting down in P14. Must admit the sort of lighting with these kind of cloudy conditions at Catalunya is very nice to see indeed. Now this lobby was relatively weak. It was 8 o'clock in the morning when I did this one. No, it wasn't. It was the 7:30 race that we did. So it was only a number, maybe 5 A plus drivers, and then mostly made up of A's and B's after that. Making up a position nice and early as the Finnish driver goes very deep into turn 1. And that's going to be a little bit of a theme of the Finnish driver for the first few laps here, as they didn't really seem to know where their braking points were at any corner, and they've actually pushed us out the way into turn 4, I guess it would be. So yeah, I wasn't particularly happy with that one, but they're then going to make collision with the Corvette there of Gripper. So yeah, definitely hadn't done any practice, had they, before they decided to jump into this one. But we managed to kind of capitalise on a little bit of chaos there and move up into P12. So coming up to the fast right-hander here, as we come on to the back straight, you can see a big group of cars there. As you can probably see, most of the cars up ahead tend to be the MR car. So in terms of strategy, you've got a couple of choices in this one. You can, well, we've got a mandatory pit stop, and we have the racing medium tyres, and we have tyre wear at times 4. Now, given how the first part of the opening lap had went, how quickly we closed up on these drivers ahead of us, I decided we were going to bail into the pit lane and try the no tyre change strategy. Now, when you come into the pit lane here, do be very careful. You are carrying far more speed into the pit lane than you do when you use the chicane variant, so you will have to brake a little bit early. You will have to be careful of the white line as well. Now, you can put 2 wheels on the green stuff on the right hand side, as you've seen me done, but if you've got all 4 wheels on there, you will get a 3-second penalty. Now, Catalunya is fairly notorious for its long pit lane, especially in Group 4 cars. Now, we're not changing the tyres here. Stationary time at 1.685 seconds. Now, if we do change the tyres, you're going to be stationary for a little bit longer. Let's see what time that's going to come in at. So, changing the tyres, you're going to be stationary for 4.583. So, the difference is around about 2.9 seconds. Let's call it 3 seconds, just for the sake of rounding numbers up. So your pit loss if you do the no tyre change is going to be 29 seconds. Your pit loss if you do change the tyres is going to be 32 seconds, and fuel is going to be no issue whatsoever. A little bit of a shame. I'd like to kind of see fuel maybe be a bit more of a factor, especially in these kind of mandatory pit stop races, where it would help give the strategy another little bit of an element to it. But how are these tyres going to fare if you don't change them? Well, the answer to that, well, 3 of them actually fare okay, but that front left is absolutely struggling towards the end of the race. Now, we are in an FR car. I think it probably makes quite a big difference to the FR cars compared to the MR cars, but I will say that's a McLaren in front of us that also did the no tyre change strategy, and they are also struggling as well. Maybe not quite as much as what we are. McLaren will be better on tyres than Aston Martin, so I think in an FR car the no tyre change strategy is pretty much out the window. It probably only really going to work with the MR cars, but I would probably recommend for the majority of people, if you're on the pad, if you're just not very good on tyres, you do want to be changing the tyres for this one. But there is obviously the choice there, and that both strategies are viable. but I think for most people, given what I see and the way their tyres wear and the way their lap times drop off, you're probably better off to sacrifice that 3 seconds in the pits to have better tyres towards the end and not be struggling. We were up into P5 in this one. Now the reason this strategy has kind of worked for us is because we are up against a lot of A and B drivers. So we've got a little bit of residual pace over those drivers, so even though they're going to be changing the tyres, and most people in this one did change the tyres, we just have more pace over a lap that we can kind of make the worn tyre strategy work. Up against drivers of equal calibre to myself, I would have been in big trouble on this strategy towards the end of the race, as drivers came back at me with the fresh tyres. I reckon I probably lost around about 6 seconds, maybe 5 to 6 seconds on the worn tyre. So I'd say overall in that car I'd have been around about 3 seconds faster had I changed the tyres. Might have been a little bit more different in an MR car. It probably come out fairly equal, but I think for most people changing the tyres would be the better option. So yeah, that's your 2 options in terms of strategy. You can do the no tyre change strategy. It gives you the flexibility to pit on lap 1 or the last lap and try to find a little bit of clear track, in which case it could work well for you if you happen to be in a lobby where there's a lot of battling going on. But you will have to be reasonably good on the tyres to make it work. Certainly in an FR car, in an MR car like the Citroen or the McLaren, the NSX, which are good cars on tyres, this strategy might work a little bit better for you. But you'll know what your tyre wear's like, you'll know if you're good in tyres, you'll know what you're using to drive, if it's the wheel or the pad. So yeah, just bear that in mind. If you're bad in tyres, take the 3 seconds in the pits. Obviously that pit window, I would say you could pit as early as lap 4, maybe between lap 4 and 6 is maybe the pit window. Lap 4 you can maybe just go in and try and get a little bit of an undercut, a little bit of clear track for a lap over somebody else to try and get that strategy to work. But that's your strategy options for this one. There is definitely 2 strategies out there very similar to the Interlagos race, not that million miles away really from the Group 3 race at St Croix either. But yeah, I'm off to my bed folks. Hope you've had a great new year. Here's to a good 2024 on Gran Turismo 7. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye now.